Let's see who is going to tune in tonight. For those of you who do make it, you probably are going to want to fast forward for the first few minutes until people tune in when we start getting some questions rolling in. Otherwise, it's just me here rambling for the first few minutes. But tonight, I hope to talk a little bit about No Nicotine November, the program that we're launching starting November 1st. And then if people have questions about our Kick It supplement, Crave Less, I want to spend some time talking about that. And then I want to answer any questions that you guys may have for me. So feel free to throw the questions in the comments as we roll through this, and I'll start to address them. And I already see we have some comments coming up here. I tried to quit vaping so many times, doing No Nicotine November, super excited. I think the big difference maker for those of you guys who are doing No Nicotine November with us is going to be being part of a community of people and having that kind of ongoing accountability. That's the biggest thing. And obviously I'm going to give like guidance along the way when it comes to expectations and tips and tricks when it comes to quitting. We got someone in here, day 18, no nicotine. That's great. That means you're getting through that 2-week hump. For anyone who's quitting nicotine, one of the things that I like to warn you guys about is it's between days like 14 and 20. And this is typically where most of the physical withdrawal symptoms are over. But this is when your body starts to detox cotinine, the byproduct of nicotine. And a lot of people go through a second wave of withdrawals around the 2 to 3 week mark. And it's more psychological than it is physical usually at this point. But a lot of people wind up relapsing because of that. So just if you're quitting, be aware of that 2-week timeline. We got Elise, your videos on CHS or cannabinoid hyperemesis syndrome saved my life. I'm so happy to hear that. There's so many people that don't know what that condition is. And sadly, it can be a life-threatening condition. And it's typically not until the 7th ER visit, 6 or 7, that it's appropriately diagnosed. Any tips for food addiction, considering you can't abstain with substances? Yeah, I mean, when it comes to food addiction, I think you got to start with the basics, which is getting rid of the junk. So, like, typically for most people, that's going to be high sugar foods, foods that are highly processed because they're designed to be more addicting. I'll give you something on food addiction real quick. Check out the book Brain Over Binge. It's a really, really good book on food addiction. It deals with binge eating disorders, but it could apply to anyone who's struggling with a food-based addiction. That was actually one of the first books I read that got me thinking about sobriety from other drugs, Brain Over Binge, which is based on the book Rational Recovery by Jack Trimpey. You can find both of those on Amazon. They're incredible books. We got someone here on day 9 without cocaine, weed, or alcohol. Congratulations. They thought one day was impossible. It's amazing. I tell people if you can get through one day, you can get through 10 days. And if you can get through 10, you can get through 100. If you can get through 100, you can get through 1,000, and so on and so forth. But it really is, for many people, all about getting through that first day. Okay, this is an interesting question, and this kind of applies to what we're talking about tonight. Vokan asked, the only reason I started vaping nicotine or whatever it is due to appetite reduction to lose weight. So a few things. That's kind of a myth in a sense because nicotine actually spikes blood sugar. And if we look across the board at people who consume nicotine, you're going to see more people who actually struggle with weight than not. So if you look at everyone who smokes cigarettes, chews tobacco, you're going to find more people in the population addicted to nicotine who are actually overweight. And a lot of that has to do with dysregulation of blood sugar levels. Now, the reason why people lose weight, though, is because they'd rather consume nicotine than eat food, right? If it's between eating lunch at work and hitting your vape or chewing tobacco or smoking cigarettes, some people will forego food and choose to consume nicotine. And that's why we see the weight loss from the caloric restriction, because their brain has prioritized nicotine on a higher level than it has food. But here's just something I want to throw out there for you. Look, when you quit, you're training yourself when it comes to discipline. So don't think that you're going to quit and then all of a sudden you're just going to go eat a bunch of food. because when you're quitting and you're using that degree of willpower and discipline and resistance, you're going to be shocked at how easily you can start to apply that to other categories of your life. It's just taking that same frame of mind, saying no to the nicotine, and just being cautious and saying no to the food. So it's a very similar process, and I think you'll be shocked at where you're at once you go through addiction, quit addiction, and then have to face the fear of overeating. I want to throw this out there briefly. Our supplement, Kick It Crave Less Gum, contains KSM-66 ashwagandha, which has been shown to be a powerful supplement when it comes to appetite, when it comes to weight loss. And you can check that out. They actually have clinical studies on that. And that's one of the reasons why we put that ingredient in here, in hopes to help reduce cravings with people, but also in hopes to curb some of that weight gain that people see after quitting a substance. Okay, if they cut down on nicotine a lot, some people smoke and get the same amount of nicotine they're addicted to. Yeah, so some people switch from cigarettes to vapes, and they actually wind up increasing their nicotine throughout the day. So they actually wind up increasing the addiction to the drug that they were hoping to quit in the first place. Although vaping might be a form of harm reduction in some cases, the addiction can actually get stronger for people. What do I think of the book, The Abstinence Myth, and the way of improving while not having total abstinence? Philip, so I'm all for that. If you guys have been on my channel for a while, I'm actually not super rigid. What I share is what worked for me. And what has worked for me has worked for tons of other people. But just because something worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for you or the next person. So it depends on your goal. My goal was complete abstinence because my goal was never moderation. I often say on my channel, why would I want to focus on moderating one thing that's harming me when I could be focused on expanding everything, expanding my relationships, expanding my finances, expanding my physical health. I love not being a moderate person. So for me, the whole thing of moderation and not having abstinence totally, it just doesn't work. It's not my vibe. But I coach people where that's their end goal, and that's what we work towards then. If moderation is the goal, then moderation is the goal. I see we got Cole in here, one of the key people behind our channel. I bought one of those Chinese vapes at a head shop, and formaldehyde was an ingredient. We use that to bodies. Okay, let's talk about formaldehyde, guys. So from my understanding, it's not necessarily that vape companies are trying to poison their customers, right? If I'm going to sell you a drug, I want you guys to live as long as possible because I want to try and suck as much money as I can out of you. So it doesn't make sense to kill your customer, right? What happens though in vaping, and it's the same thing in smoking cigarettes, it's the chemical reaction that occurs when you turn something into a vapor, or when you combust tobacco, when you combust the plant. There's a series of chemical reactions that happens, and that's what in turn creates a lot of these negative byproducts. And don't quote me on this, but I believe formaldehyde and benzene are often byproducts of turning whatever those ingredients were into vapor. Just like a lot of the things when they say there's so many carcinogens in cigarettes, yes, there is, but it's not necessarily that tobacco companies put all those carcinogens in there. That's the chemical reaction that you get when you burn something. It creates carcinogens. And when you say I bought one of those Chinese vapes, remember, it's something like 90% of the disposables, especially, are coming from somewhere in China. So that's the reality. My problem is I'm so tired and I want to sleep for 2 weeks. What will help with this? So that's very common when you first quit a drug, having lethargy, being tired, being exhausted, especially for the first 2 weeks. And it's understanding why you feel that way. Because once you understand why, you're not going to be so inclined to try and fight it. When you quit drugs, your body's going through a detox and a withdrawal process, and that's physically and psychologically taxing on the body. So it's expected that you would be fatigued when you first quit the drug. And a lot of people quit and they get thrown off. Now, on top of that, one of the universal withdrawal symptoms from alcohol, nicotine, any drug is insomnia. So, on top of your body working overtime, detoxing and withdrawing from the substance, you're also experiencing insomnia on top of everything else. And then you have the mental fatigue that you're dealing with all day long in the first few weeks, which is, should I go use the drug? Should I not use the drug? Should I use the drug? Should I not use the drug? That's why people get so tired. Now, another thing when we talk about nicotine, and we're going to talk about this in our No Nicotine November event, be sure to register for that in my pinned comment in my video descriptions or in my community post. It starts tomorrow. Another reason why we see fatigue is because of the impact on our cortisol levels and our norepinephrine and our adrenaline levels. When we consume nicotine over and over again, and when we abuse it for a prolonged period of time, what you're doing is you're constantly putting your body into a state of fight or flight because of that release of norepinephrine and noradrenaline or whatever. And that's going to drop cortisol. Then you quit. Now these levels get plummeted even more, and you're dealing with this physiological fatigue from the reactions that are happening with your hormones and your neurotransmitters and all that. Guys, this is one of the reasons why we made the Kick It Crave Less supplement, okay? KSM 66 also lightly stimulates the norepinephrine and noradrenaline pathways, while at the same time preventing the breakdown of acetylcholine in the brain, similar to the actions of nicotine without the negative side effects. So one of the reasons why I made this wasn't only to help with appetite suppression, wasn't only to help with fatigue, it was also to help with the cravings. So that's why we made this, because I understand that a lot of people are like, I can't be this fatigued and still work and still get through my day-to-day life, taking care of my family, whatever it is. But even with supplementation, even when you're doing everything right, you're still going to go through some of that. And I really want to emphasize that point, because if someone buys my supplement or someone does something else, I don't want them to think like the withdrawals are gone. And this is a false expectation, because when people take a supplement, for example, they think, okay, so that means I'm not going to have any fatigue. No, not at all. You have to have a reasonable set of expectations and things that you're going to experience when you quit a substance. So like, you have to come to terms with, I'm going to be fatigued. I'm going to have insomnia. I'm going to have brain fog for a period of time. You have to get through that. Now, we could talk about fatigue too, and we could talk about exercise, getting outside, cold showers, nutrition, other ways of taking care of yourself to kind of combat that fatigue. The only ones I found not to be tamed were the Juuls, and they got banned. Yeah, it's funny that Juul actually got banned, because Juul was doing the best job, in my opinion, when it came to regulation of their ingredients. They also did the best job of getting, millions of people addicted to a drug that they don't need to be addicted to, but they were one of the more tightly regulated ones. Juul, this is wild. When they were in the process of being kicked out of the US and being sued right and left, they were busy fighting their own lawsuits with fake Chinese companies making and distributing fake Juul products all around the US. So it's funny, Juul took all this heat, as they should have. They really were unethical in a lot of the things they did and whatnot. But at the same time, all this blame went on to Juul when there were thousands of fake Juuls being distributed all around the US and no one even knew it. I hate being addicted to vaping. I'm going to try and quit. Joshua, don't try, quit. There's no, that's the thing. Like, I'm all for trying and I'm all for failing, because any path to success is paved in failure, right? The success of this YouTube channel, the success of launching a supplement, it's been failure after failure. And I learned about failure a lot in my sobriety process, getting knocked down and trying again, getting knocked down and trying again. But I don't think you have to try to quit. What you have to do is quit. It's literally a shift in how you speak to yourself. It's a shift in how you approach quitting and how you approach addiction. No, I haven't seen the vapes from Sheen, but that's interesting to me. Obviously, I've seen the vape products on DHgate and things like that. Okay. Food has more physical components with addiction. I did a water fast for 30 days. It really helped me get rid of the cravings. Yeah, that makes sense, Ash. Yeah, water fast would do that. I've never done something that intense, but sure, of course, because when you restrict food like that in a fast, what you're actually doing is you're dropping your blood sugar levels down, and your insulin's going to plummet. And insulin impacts another hormone called ghrelin. And when you drop those two things down, your appetite goes down. So food addiction is largely driven by sugars and processed foods, things that spike our insulin levels. Insulin goes up, that stimulates ghrelin, and now our appetite goes up. So when we cut out that junk food, when we do something like a fast, we're creating those physiological changes with insulin and other things that drive appetite. And we don't have as much of an appetite. People often think, oh, won't I be starving if I do that? And the answer is often no, you won't be. You'll actually be less hungry by eating less. Gym is good for weight loss plus a good night's sleep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, guys. You dream about it 2 to 3 times a week. Yeah, it's wild how after quitting a drug, those dreams become very, very real. Dreams of relapse are super normal, especially in early sobriety. I always viewed it as like a Harry Potter reference. If you guys are familiar with Harry Potter, when Voldemort was like taking over Harry Potter's brain and trying to suck him back in, trying to pull him over to the dark side. That's how I viewed withdrawal, and that's how I viewed those dreams of relapse. I viewed it as addiction, trying to subconsciously suck me back in without even realizing it. I'm still sober from weed, although I have a few beers today. Happy Halloween. Yeah, look, guys, for some people, they're going to choose to continue drinking. They're going to choose to quit weed, but continue using nicotine. It's whatever the person is trying to do to better their quality of life. Look, if you occasionally drink alcohol and you don't feel that it's negatively impacting you in any way, fine, keep doing it. I'm not going to be the guy to tell you to stop. I'm the guy that helps people who are having trouble with whatever the substance is that's creating a negative quality of life for them. Now, I'll say this on alcohol for anyone who's here. You know, there is no good amount of alcohol. There's nothing good about alcohol, right? It's ethanol. It's a toxin to our bodies. It's gasoline, right? And one of my favorite books on alcohol is This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. If you're trying to quit drinking alcohol, I'd highly recommend looking into This Naked Mind by Annie Grace. Do grown-ups take longer to get addicted to smoking than like younger people? No, I would actually say it's the opposite. I would say that younger people, because of that, under the age of 25, because the brain's not fully developed, they're more susceptible to addiction and having those permanent changes in brain chemistry. Where someone who's older, they typically have more responsibilities. They typically have better decision-making processes. Not a lot of people. Listen, some adults are just grown-ass children, right? That's the reality of the situation. But generally speaking, it's actually easier to get addicted when you're younger because you don't have the responsibilities, you don't have the sense of purpose, and you don't have the brain development. 7 months, no nicotine. You're doing no alcohol November as it's almost becoming a problem. Isaac, congrats on no alcohol November. And Isaac, this is something we talk a lot about in our no nicotine November program. And that's trading one substance for another. Listen, guys, when I'm helping people quit things, part of coming up with a plan for quitting is building in other things into their life. So we don't wind up replacing alcohol with weed or weed with alcohol or nicotine with adult media content. We have to tell our brain the direction that it's going to go in. We cannot leave this up to chance, especially after we've been through addiction. Our brain is just a systems of 1 and zeros, 1 and 0, 1 and 0, dopamine, no dopamine. So you quit something that gives you dopamine. If your brain knows that alcohol also gives you dopamine and you're susceptible to drinking a lot, your brain is going to lean into alcohol. And this is why we have to be so careful when it comes to quitting one substance and not picking up another one. We got to take that energy, we got to take that focus, and we got to create purpose out of it. So Sheen sells puff bars and they're all fake. Yeah, I got to check that. Yeah, anything made in Xinjiang region of China is poison. They use petroleum. Yeah, Ash, a majority of vape products come from that part of China. I don't know exactly the statistic, but I read that it's something like 90%. In one of the peer-reviewed articles that I was working up a write-up on based on nicotine, I actually had to do something that was evidence-based. Shocking. Okay. Guys, I'm doing No Nic November. John, good luck. I hope you're in our program. And guys, to be clear on our No Nicotine November program, we have a lot of people enrolled, but there's clearly a lot of confusion. We normally charge for these programs. We're not charging a fee, but after the first program, as per like our guidelines signing up, we are requiring a purchase of this to continue with the No Nicotine November program. But we'll talk about that more the first day because there seems to be confusion about that. So if you're signing up for No Nicotine November, read the full outline of what the program actually is and what it entails. Okay. But I'm super glad to have so many people enrolled. Okay, let's see here. I can give up weed. I had my medical marijuana card, but something I don't usually use. I mean, it's something that I don't feel like I'm addicted to, like once a month. Yeah, so some people will smoke weed and some people won't be addicted. Look, you're going to have people who smoke weed and use weed medicinally who benefit from it. I'm not here to attack those people or to criticize that. If you're getting benefit, all the more power to you. I'm focused on addiction, particularly to nicotine, THC, energy drinks, and adult media content. Yeah, nicotine is like a thief, John. I agree with that. Addiction has something in which I call the creep effect. And we have the creep effect of weed, the creep effect of alcohol, nicotine. This is where the drug just slowly starts creeping into more and more aspects of your life without you even realizing it. And before you know it, it's integrated into almost every emotion, every action, and every experience that you go through day to day. And at the same time, you're consuming it, it's robbing a little bit of energy, a little bit of money. And it's a very sneaky thief, right? If I said to someone, hey, you're going to be addicted to vaping for the next 40 years or cigarettes for the next 40 years, and it's going to cost you $25,000, and I want you to pay me up front for that, very few people would pay me up front, right? Very few people are even willing to buy our supplement because of the cost. But how tobacco companies, alcohol companies, weed, they make the cost of entry very, very cheap. And they do that intentionally because they know that they're going to make their money on the back end. They know that they're going to make their money on the long run. It's the exact opposite of what we do, right? As a company, we have to make money, especially with all the free content we give out. But I say at least I'm transparent about how we make money doing the coaching, doing the supplements, doing all the stuff we do. We charge people on the front end because we don't want you guys to be customers of ours on the back end. So I got to make the money up front because if I don't, I hope to never have you as a customer again after you go through my programs and you go through my stuff. Maybe aside from the free stuff for whatever that's worth. But that's why it's a very sneaky thief and it's very dishonest. We got to find healthy ways to manage stress. Yeah, Joshua, that's a huge part of quitting drugs. Healthy ways to manage stress is so true. It's so crucial. I think hobbies, I think exercise, I think relationships. And guys, for those of you in here that are younger, I want to emphasize something. If you're not at a point where you're married, if you intend on getting married, you want to have a family one day, it gets easier. Like it really does. It doesn't get harder. It was hardest when I was single, didn't have a family, didn't have my career sorted out. That's when being sober was the hardest, but that's when it was the most crucial because it was that period of sobriety that allowed me to build up these other aspects of my life, the family, the relationships, the business, the finances, all that stuff. But and it gets easier as you go because you fill in more positive things over life. Being where I'm at now, wife, kid, multiple businesses now, the supplement company, the addiction recovery coaching company, the chiropractic offices. I don't have time for drugs. Even if I wanted to do drugs, the time just isn't there. Whereas when I was younger, if you're 18 years old, 20 years old, and you're younger, chances are you have a lot of time for drugs. Now, we also see this with a problem in individuals who have made a lot of money, they're very successful, and they're older. They have nothing but time on their hands. And this becomes a problem because they kind of lost that sense of purpose. They're, empty nesters, their kids have left. These are all situations that people face. 7 days clean of nicotine. I started vaping again. You were close. You got to get through those first 2 weeks. Come on, give me 2 weeks. Get through that 2 week hump for me. You can do it. I know you can. I know you can. Nick, 2 weeks without nicotine, weed, 5 days off. That's awesome. My longest streak was 10 days. And on the 10th day, it was just as bad in the first, second, and third. It's so tough to kick. Here's a great point on that, John. So what about the people who quit and they're on day 10 and it's getting harder for them? What's that all about? So that is typically an underestimation of the challenge ahead. That's like trying to climb Mount Everest and thinking that you're climbing a tiny hill. And it's like you only packed a pair of sneakers. You didn't bring a pillow or a tent. You didn't bring a backup pair of clothes for when it starts to get cold as you approach a higher elevation. You underestimated the challenge, and because you underestimated it, when things got increasingly difficult, you quit. So it's a shift in mindset. It's a reframing of seeing the challenge for what it is and making sure we don't have an underestimation of quitting like you did. Now, some people on the reverse Uno of that, they will overestimate the challenge of quitting and they won't even try in the first place. Does that make sense? Like this underestimation of the challenge and this overestimation? And I'll tell you, the both are very dangerous because when we underestimate a challenge, we typically fail. We see this happen all the time with business. People underestimate the challenge. I'm right. I probably underestimated the challenge of launching a supplement company. To be honest, people underestimate it. They quit and they fail. Or people are so scared to go into business for themselves, they overestimate the challenge and they never even try. They never even get out of that. They never even give it a shot. So, yeah, of course, guys. Thank you for the kind words. I see lots of kind words in here. Focusing on other hobbies. How old are you? How long did you use nicotine? How many times did you relapse? I'm 34 years old. I used nicotine. I don't know if I started when I was 16 or 18. It was somewhere between the ages of 16 or 18. And I consumed right up until about 27, 28 years old. So it was maybe 9 or 10 years of nicotine use. It was for a long time. I stopped around 20, 27, 28. And how many times did you relapse approximately? I couldn't even tell you, countless times. I think after the first 2 years of using nicotine, I was telling myself I wanted to quit. And so it would have been around 20 something, early 20s. And I didn't stop until I was in my late 20s. I'm currently doing what this live is against and just want to give it up at some point. So I'm grateful for the encouragement. Of course, Joshua, of course. And Joshua, I'm not against anything. I'm here to help people. I'm here to provide you guys with things. I'm here to try and convince you guys to buy our Kick It Crave Less gum that I keep flashing because we put so much to this and it's a one of a kind product. It doesn't exist. It does not exist. But we can talk about that more another time. I quit weed, vaping, and adult media content 2 to 3 days ago, and it's been extremely hard. Does anyone have any advice? I do. If you're quitting multiple addictions at once, weed, vaping, adult media content, sugar, I advise quitting all of them, but I think that's too much at once in most cases because what's going to happen is you're going to completely plummet your dopamine levels. They're already low, and now you're plummeting them. And what's going to happen is dopamine is the thing that motivates us to kind of keep going. Dopamine is the thing that drives action and drives behavior. And quitting is a behavior. But if you don't have the neurotransmitter to drive you to stay motivated to quit, it's going to be a challenge for you. So what I recommend, A King Mikey, is pick the substance that was the most dangerous, that was the most threatening to you. Was it weed? Was it vaping? Was it adult media content? Which one is having the largest negative impact on your life? And start there. Okay. That's where you want to start. And then once you get a grasp on that, then take on nicotine and adult media content. For most people, the first thing to go is weed. The second thing to go is adult media content. And the third thing to go is nicotine. You could maybe flip-flop nicotine and adult media content. Formaldehyde is in coffee too. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, guys. We talk about heavy metals and formaldehyde and all these byproducts as if it's only in tobacco products. It's in foods, it's in protein powders. Arsenic often pops up like in baby's cereal. There was just a recall for arsenic. So this stuff is in a lot of things. It's just you're probably getting it in higher quantities from tobacco products, nicotine products, vape products, things like that. So I just want to throw that out there for full transparency. I abuse substances due to depression, but I want to find healthy ways to manage my mental health. Absolutely right. At the end of the day, substances don't build higher highs. They only build lower lows. Is it right? That's the case. And Nick, I see you joking around saying weed is for, whatever the terminology you use. Weed is for wimps is what we'll say on the live, not to get kicked off. And then you say I'm a few beers deep right now. Here's the deal, Nick. It's a lot of times it's either for a form of enjoyment or it's for a form of escapism. So if someone's drinking alcohol and they're telling me to quit weed, um, it's screw them. I'm not going to take them seriously. I'm not going to look up to that, right? Because I'm going to look at that and say, look, you're escaping in a bottle instead of escaping in a joint. And Nick, I'm not bashing you. I'm not attacking you on it. I'm just saying, like, it's substance use is substance use, whether it's weed, pills, this, that, nicotine. And sure, the side effects are different. Sure, the level of harm is different among each one. Alcohol being possibly one of the most toxic, but it right. You get what I'm saying? It's hard. It's like a parent telling their kid not to smoke weed when they're drinking wine every night. It just doesn't vibe. It doesn't work. I work with so many younger people in the high schools because of grants that we have working with high schools and stuff like that. And I'll be like, why do you smoke? And they're like, well, mom and dad drink every night. Well, of course, monkey see, monkey do. Of course, you're not going to listen to your parents telling you. They're not setting the proper example many times, right? And it's like the kid is just picking a behavior and copying their parents. It's really a sad thing. Yeah, there's only so much I can give up in this world. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, I'm 5 days sober from weed. What's your thought on bipolar and weed mixed together, Dr. Frank? The literature is not good. I can tell you that much. And I can tell you something else. And this is anecdotal personal experience from coaching. I have worked with countless people who are diagnosed as bipolar. They quit smoking weed, the manic behavior goes away, the psychosis symptoms go away, the disassociation starts to go away, and suddenly they're not bipolar anymore. And that's so sad to me because a lot of people are consuming heavy amounts of weed. Psychiatrist, primary care doctor won't comment on it. They'll then load them up on bipolar medications when in reality, it's like, wait, why didn't we just remove the weed and see if that was playing a role before we added more drugs into the picture? Now, that's not, look, if someone came to me and said, Dr. Frank, I have bipolar disease and weed saved my life, by all means, keep smoking then. Do your thing. I'm not here to argue with you. To the host and any moderators, is it okay if I give out my Insta because I'm struggling? Yeah, of course. Start your Insta, Joshua. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so, yep, let's see here. I feel I have an elf bar and occasionally I vape, but I'm not addicted as I quit. How bad is that? I'm not for any consumption of it. So I don't know. A lot of people will think they can mess around with it, but a majority of people always wind up, especially with nicotine and vaping, wind up going back to uh, uh, full blown drug use. All right, Grandma Kisses. I only do drugs because my life is in order and my life is crumbling. So I'm confused by that a little bit. But I think what you're saying is you do drugs when things are going good and you do drugs when things are going bad, which means you're doing drugs all the time, if I'm understanding that correctly. And you're right, Grandma Kisses. When we work with people, who are the people doing drugs? People who are headed towards rock bottom or people who have made it really, really well off in life, typically financially, and they have no more obligations. They have no more responsibilities. These are where people get in trouble. This is why someone at the age of 20 years old is so susceptible to addiction. They don't have that sense of purpose. They don't have that family life of their own that they've created yet. They don't have a lot of these responsibilities. It's wake up, go to school. Maybe you got a job, maybe you don't. It's a prime time for substance use. That's why so many people get touched. Yeah, beautiful life. Get obsessed with fitness. A lot of people do that in sobriety. Here's my take on fitness too. I want to give you guys a little gem here when it comes to sobriety. I recommend building up multiple obsessions, right? So I had nicotine, weed, right? Some binge drinking, adult media content. I was obsessed with multiple different drugs. Okay. And that was important because if I couldn't get weed, I could go drink alcohol. If I couldn't get alcohol, I could go consume nicotine. It's the same thing in sobriety. We want to have multiple pillars of obsession because if you break your leg or tear your rotator cuff and now fitness isn't an option for you for a little bit, what are you going to do? We don't want your sobriety and recovery to crumble because one system broke down. We need to have multiple obsessions, multiple passions that build up over time. That way, if one of those pillars collapses, we have all the other ones to support us. Did I vape and smoke weed at the same time? Yeah, I was always consuming both. I mean, like, I started with nicotine first and then weed came into the picture later. But yeah, of course. I mean, what was a typical night? You'd go out drinking at the bars, you'd consume nicotine the whole time to pace yourself, and then you'd come home and get high with all your friends. So you're drunk, you're high, you're consuming nicotine, and you're probably eating a bunch of junk food. I mean, that was a typical weekend for me for years of my life. Um, Okay. Yeah, and it damages your spinal column. Yeah, Ash, nicotine has a lot of problems. People don't realize this. It basically reduces blood flow. Caffeine does too, but the effect of nicotine is a bit more pronounced on the arteries and all this stuff. So here's the deal with nicotine, because I'm not going to go into the science of it, because we should have a cardiologist do that in a live sometime. It does cause vascular constriction, and it is damaging to your bones. That's for sure. And anything that restricts blood flow to your brain over a long period of time is not good. Anything that creates a dopamine deficit over a long period of time is not good. So yeah, there's a lot of problems with nicotine, and a lot of people don't realize that. Um, okay, let's see here. I'm scared that quitting weed is making me incapable of eating. Yeah, I mean, this is a concern, and I think it varies from person to person. Okay, there's supplements out there that can actually increase appetite. Okay, um, but I don't know. A King Mikey 23, you could always quit and see if that problem occurs. That problem might not happen for you. We often talk about the fears associated with quitting as nothing more than false expectations appearing real. So you're going into quitting with an expectation that you're not going to eat. And then that's going to lead to your life being worse off than it is when you're addicted. What if that's a lie crafted by that addicted voice in your brain? What if that is simply not true? These are things that you need to ask yourself and that you need to assess as you're going into quitting. And this is how we identify that addicted voice when it's speaking to it. Um, okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Does that gum help for alcohol cravings? So, Nick, I can tell you this: our gum, legally, according to the FDA, is not designed to treat addiction or withdrawal symptoms. So, with that disclaimer, I can tell you this: they have done some preliminary research on N-acetylcysteine, and it's been shown to reduce cravings for nicotine, cannabis, alcohol, sugar, and amphetamines. Now, I can tell you that the N-acetylcysteine is going to be shown to reduce cravings when they do more studies on it on a whole host of addictions, because the pathway in the brain and how addiction works is pretty similar across the board to all substances. It's glucosamine, it's dopamine, right? It's all the same stuff. And NAC impacts that stuff. Now, the reason why I'm so hyped up about our gum is because we are the first people ever to put N-acetylcysteine in a gum combined with KSM 66. There was only 3 facilities in the world with the machinery to create this supplement. That's why it took me so long to make it. And the neat thing about gum is when you chew gum, it's absorbed buccally in the tissues in your mouth. So it bypasses your liver and your gut. So you don't get a breakdown of the ingredients like you would get in taking a capsule or something like that. That's why I'm so hyped about this. This is also much faster acting than a capsule. And if I'm having a craving, what would I want? I would want stress relief. We get that from KSM 66. I would want increased focus. We get that from KSM 66. And I would want a reduction in my cravings, and I would want a regulation of my dopamine. We get that from N-acetylcysteine. That's why I'm so hype about this supplement. And people are like, oh, it's expensive. Yeah, there's only 3 labs in the world that can make it. And one of the labs makes nicotine, makes Nicorette. And they were like, we can't make that for you because we work with Nic. Okay, fine. That left me with 2 facilities. Okay. So like, it's crazy what we created here. And there's 90 pieces of gum per bottle. A lot of people are like, it's expensive. It is expensive. Addiction's more expensive, but like we put a lot in each bottle. So anyways, all right, let's get back to the show here. Exercise can actually ramp up your endocannabinoid system. You're correct. That's the runner's high. When you're quitting weed, there's 2 components to exercise or nicotine or alcohol. Your endocannabinoid system is what makes us feel good. It's like a master regulator for many systems in our body. And when our body releases endocannabinoids, it makes us feel good. That's what the runner's high is. And that's why so many people who quit drugs get addicted to exercise. And I have not, as long as you're not harming yourself, damaging your body, extreme weight loss from it, as long as you're exercising healthily, that's a good addiction to have. So yes, absolutely. Now I'll say this, when it comes to exercise and quitting, whether you're quitting nicotine or weed, many times in the first 2 weeks, a lot of people are going through that quitter's flu. And remember, your body's detoxing, it's going through withdrawal. So ramping up the exercise to an extreme is actually going to make you feel sicker. So a lot of people quit, they jump into heavy exercise and they feel like crap because their body, when you exercise, you're breaking down muscle fibers, you're breaking things down, you're stressing your liver because that whole glucose insulin thing that occurs with muscle tissue and breakdown and all that stuff. Your body's already pumping out all these other toxins. Now you're slamming it with heavy exercise, and the person's like, I feel worse than when I was on drugs. That's why. So when you're quitting, exercise is awesome. I just recommend approaching it with caution. And guys, these are all things that we cover in our No Nicotine November event that launches tomorrow night. It's a private event on Zoom, okay? Everyone is welcome to join for the first call. But if you sign up, you can find the link in my community post. You can find it in my videos. There's a link for No Nicotine November. If you sign up, read the full description because completion of registration is pending on purchase of this product. We're not charging people for the program, but we are charging for the product for entry into the complete program. You can attend the first one, but after the first one, we're only continuing the program with the people that make the purchase. That's our cost of entry for this one, okay? Guys, I'm happy these videos help you. I really try. I give everything away for free. People don't realize that. There's nothing that I don't give away for free, except, for my physical product, aside from when we do giveaways. It's all free. It's all on my YouTube. But running programs, selling stuff, we need to make money. We need to generate revenue to keep this thing growing and helping. And I'm happy to charge for it. I'm happy to charge for what I do and the products I make because I'm very proud of them and they have true value. It has true meaning. 18 years old, day 5 of No Nicotine. Congratulations. I have a very loud, addictive voice. What can I do to quiet it down and get past the first day? Bauer approved. Buy the book, Rational Recovery by Jack Trimpey. You can find it on Amazon. I link the book in most of my video comments in the video description, Rational Recovery by Jack Trimpey. That book is going to teach you how to identify the addicted voice, to call out the lies that it tells you, and then how to quash those lies. Step 1, buy the book Rational Recovery by Jack Trimpey. 11 days cold turkey, no vape. Congratulations. Stay away from alcohol. Alcohol is very dangerous. If we're quitting nicotine and we're picking up alcohol, I would rather you go back to nicotine, and I would rather we rework your quitting process of nicotine. The last thing I want someone to do is put down nicotine and become an alcoholic, because that alcohol is going to damage you a lot faster than nicotine is. And again, I'm talking about an alcoholic drinking in excess, which there is no healthy amount of alcohol. How does one avoid other vices? Ryan, this is what we're talking about. You avoid other vices by filling in other positive aspects of your life. Fitness, hobbies. I do target shooting. I have a YouTube channel. I have a chiropractic office. I'm constantly building my life, right? Brick by brick, piece by piece. There was no need, aside from that, I wanted the supplement that I created myself because I think I created such a unique, incredible thing. Aside from me wanting this personally and wanting to share something like this with you guys, I don't need another business right now. For the love of God, Cole knows that he's in here. He's one of my guys. They can barely get my attention enough for YouTube, let alone my chiropractic office and this and that and other stuff I have my hands in. I'm constantly building. And that's how I'm never going back to other substances. I have too many other things that I've created. It's our responsibility, though, to fill in our lives with those other things. And here's the deal. When you first quit, those things aren't going to be there. You're going to be bored. It's out of the boredom, though, that all that other stuff is created. If I didn't allow myself the boredom that I experienced in sobriety and recovery, I never would have picked up my phone and started filming myself on TikTok. I never would have done any of that stuff. right? It was the boredom. It's getting bored. It's running out of ideas that leads to a new idea. That's where the creativity actually occurs. Could ex-smokers who smoke when they're 10, 11 be at a higher risk of smoking? Yeah, the longer you smoke, the higher the risk is of disease. And let me comment on that. So a lot of people think, oh, I'm not sick yet. Like with most drugs, you're in the process of getting sick. Like you're getting sick the whole time. And this is why it's a quiet thief. Like you vape, you drink alcohol, you planted a seed. And now over the years, you're going to water that seed by continuing to drink, continuing to smoke, continuing to pop pills. And eventually that seed is going to take over everything, your liver, your kidneys, your gut, your brain function, your muscular function. And then people wake up one day and they're like, I felt fine a week ago, and now my body's out of whack and I feel horrible and my life is declining. Addiction doesn't happen in the snap of a finger. It happens over time. And then we wake up one day and everything's kind of shutting down. That's why it's so scary. How do you get out of depression after drug use? Kickboxing, sleep, food. My stress tolerance is way worse and I can't handle stress good anymore. Sammy, here's the thing though. Were you handling stress good to begin with drugs? Would I look at substance use and someone who copes with stress by drinking, smoking a ton of weed, vaping, would I look at that person and say, oh, they handle stress well? No, I wouldn't. I'd say they're not handling stress good to begin with. So I'd say you never, maybe you never knew how to handle stress. And I would say, Sammy, this is an opportunity to start to try and figure that out. And Sammy, I'm going to throw this out there. You're doing it. You're doing the exercise. You're sleeping good. You're doing things. First, how far are you into quitting? Because if you're less than 90 days, you can't be making judgments. You can't be, because you're still going through the acute stages of stuff. Okay. So if you're less than 90 days, of course you can't handle stress. Your body's already under an immense amount of stress just trying to quit. So you have no tolerance for any other stress right now because your stress is at its max capacity because you're trying to quit. So that's the first thing you got to understand, Sammy. The next thing though is, what else could you be doing? More. People say to me, I'm not sleeping well. I'm not handling stress well. Did you try therapy? Did you try a supplement like KSM 66 ashwagandha, which is clinically proven to reduce stress and anxiety? Now, a disclaimer, we don't have a clinical dose in here because it's a gum product. We can't fit that clinical dose into a gum, but the absorption of gum is very different. And we have the highest amount of KSM 66 in gum than anyone on the market. So supplementation is an option. Therapy is an option. Group stuff is an option. Talk therapy is an option. Exercise like you're doing is an option. Meditation is an option. Deep breathing is an option. How many options have you exhausted? And how long have you been pursuing each of those options for? Before we say, I can't handle stress, the question is, how many more things do you need to try? So congratulations, Sammy, you're doing it. Like you're doing it right now. You are handling it better. You're exercising, you're sleeping, you're eating healthier. You don't feel like you can handle stress good anymore, but I'm telling you, you're actually handling stress better because you're making better decisions. Okay. Yeah. Happy Halloween, guys. Yeah, absolutely. We didn't get any trick-or-treaters here tonight. All my friends do it. Any attempts on quitting and being around my friends? It's tough, Taylor. When everyone you're around smokes and your family smokes and stuff like that, it's really hard. My main tip for that is, do you want to be the person that's influenced, or do you want to be the person in life that influences? Because the behaviors you're doing right now, you're either getting trained to be influenced and to be a consumer, or you're training yourself right now while you're younger to be the person who influences and the person who doesn't consume, the person that produces. So Taylor, the first, Taylor Grace, is that shift in mindset. The second shift, though, is in all reality, when you quit, your friendship circles are going to change, okay? My friends who do nothing but smoke, nothing but drink, they're gone now. They're no longer part of my life. I still have friends who smoke. Plenty of people drink. Almost everyone I know drinks. They're still in my lifestyle, but like I'm not around them enough to where it would even be a problem. You wind up realizing that you have different goals and different aspirations than people who use drugs regularly. And you wind up realizing, or at least I did, I was saying, I want to hang out with people that I want to become. I want to hang out with people that I look to. I want to surround myself with people that I can look up to. And if I'm hanging out with someone and they're not a person I can look up to, it's just it's hard for me. It's become very very hard for me as I've been on this path of trying to better myself and kind of continually level up my life and my lifestyle and my family's life. And Taylor, if you're young, that's tough. You're at a tough stage, but all I can tell you is, oh boy, if you can get that mentality now, you're going to crush it as you get older. You really, really will. 5 weeks off weed after 10 years of heavy abuse. Found your channel and I really helped. I love it. I love it. Captain Lanzano, I love it. Thank you. Thank you. 5 weeks, crazy good. It really is. 34 days without weed. Your channel's helped me immensely. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. I'm smoking cigars. People ask me a lot why I don't attack cigars. There's Z saying I smoke one cigar a week and I'll never quit. I wouldn't tell you to quit. Like, is smoking good for you? No. But like, here's the deal. That's probably not impacting you in any major negative way at this time. And is it going to? It's unlikely. Okay, I'll be honest. It's unlikely. It's not good for you. It's not a health food. It's unlikely, though, that you're going to experience anything major, one cigar a week. That's why I don't tend to attack cigars and even to some extent chewing tobacco as heavily, because most people aren't abusing those things to the extent, or at least abusing them with the side effects to the extent that they are cigarettes, smoking weed like cigarettes, drinking alcohol, all of that stuff. Yeah, there's or might have more likely with so many factors. Ex-smokers who smoked a stronger brand might be more likely to get a smoking-related illness. Yeah, of course, of course. I want to stop vaping. It's worse than cigarettes. Yeah, it really is. I think vaping is more addicting. And I think for people who say today that vaping is safer than smoking, I think that's kind of BS, because we have so many brands of vapes on the market out there today. We don't have a study from a Sheen Puff Bar, right? Or a DH Gate, freaking Lost Mary, comparing it to someone who smoked Marlboro cigarettes for 40 years. We have studies on cigarettes. We have an idea of how long it's going to take to see damage. We do know this. We know that they've done more lung transplants in people vaping nicotine and vaping THC than, not more, but they're doing them at a younger age than they are in people who smoke cigarettes, which is just terrifying to me. Not more, but they're doing it at a younger age. Now, I think we're going to see more as this plays out over time. It's expensive to have an addiction. That's absolutely right. My addiction was easily probably, I just made a video on it, but you take drinking on the weekends, going out to bars, smoking, nicotine, weed, easily $500+ a month, pretty comfortable. I mean, it'd be nothing to spend, $120 a weekend at a bar, right? Buying drinks for myself, getting drinks for other people. People hit me on this. For 90 pieces of gum, it's $71 with the 10% off. And people are like, that's expensive. It is. $71 is a lot of money. If this helps you, that was nothing compared to the cost of addiction. That was like a drop in the bucket. When people talk to me about my one-on-one coaching programs and they say that's expensive, it is in the moment, but in the long run, when you lay it out, it's not that expensive. And that's why I say, hey, at least I'm upfront about the cost with you guys, unlike the cost of addiction, which is very back end heavy, not front end heavy, right? Because they want to have you as a consumer for life. So if they can keep the cost of alcohol low, if they can keep the cost of cigarettes as low as possible, they want to do that because they know they're going to get you over 20 years on your money, right? It's like financing something. It's like addiction is like putting your life on finance, your health on finance. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. I've had CHS on and off. I've helped so much. That's awesome. And YouTube ad blocker 99001. I hope that you fully escape smoking weed. I really do. When you cross into CHS, I can't fathom what benefit you're getting from weed that would make continuing to smoke worth it. And if you're finding a benefit, I would venture to guess 99% of the time that benefit's more a lie than anything. Because if you have CHS, there is no more health benefits. There is no more psychological benefits. There's no more social benefits. So I'm curious. I listened to one of your videos and I've stopped for 10 days straight away. got bored again, and that's all it is, boredom. Yeah, a lot. It's boredom, and so many people are so scared of being bored, and the reality is like, no, like it's fine. A lot of times when you quit, guys, you're gonna come to this moment, and you're gonna have this like breakdown moment where you're like bored out of your mind or you're anxious out of your mind. That's when I need you to go look in the mirror, splash some water on your face, and just look at yourself and say, I'm okay. I'm talking, I'm standing, I'm okay. This isn't going to take me out. Addiction might, but sobriety won't. And it's just a matter of reminding yourself in those intense moments that you're okay. Um yeah, no, yeah, one of the biggest things, guys, this is true. I don't take any endorsements from alcohol. I don't take any sponsorships from caffeinated supplement brands. I don't take any sponsorships from vape companies. I don't endorse vitamin vapes. I don't endorse caffeine vapes. People bash me for charging what I charge for consultations and what we charge for our supplement, which if you guys knew the full cost to make this, the profits aren't that insane, especially if we list on Amazon. They take a large portion of that profit. So that's why we had to price it a little higher so we could keep the company profitable so we could get this to as many people as possible. The website is kickitrevolution.com. You can find it in all my links in my videos and community posts. And I want to revolutionize the industry when it comes to supporting people with quitting. And that's why I called it kickitrevolution.com. Now, people are like, oh, you make so much money. Yeah, we make money, not so much money, but we make money. If you guys understood what like these vape companies out of China pitch me to do a single post that I wouldn't even post on my media, they just want me to make a post about a vape promoting it so they can use it in their media in their part of the world. I refuse to do it. I will never do it. But if you guys knew like how many thousands of dollars I turned down, which look, it's tempting when your YouTube channel is demonetized on over 60% of your videos like ours is, and you're running on razor thin margins, when you're offering free groups, our group that we offer, our Kick It support community, that cost me $200 a month to run that community. I didn't do it on Facebook. I didn't do it on Discord. I wanted a completely private community that I have 100% control over, not so we could get shut down by Discord or Facebook or whatever platform tomorrow. So we own like that community. It's expensive, guys, to run this stuff. So people don't realize that. And what I'm saying is, it could be tempting sometimes to like, oh, I see how people fall into trouble when you're in this space because it's stupid money for endorsements. All right. I want to keep going. All right. Okay. I hope to never have you as a customer again. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I hope when I talk to you guys, aside from you're in my free support group, maybe for ongoing help, I hope to never speak to you again. That's why we offer a money back guarantee on my one-on-one coaching. If someone's disappointed, it's a money back guarantee. If you buy my supplement and you don't like it, you have 30 days to return it after trying it. It's about helping people. And the more people you help, the more money you make, and the more money you make, the more people you can help. And this is how it works. This is how it goes. Okay. Sick of wasting my time smoking cigarettes. I get a lot more work done if I didn't have to stop to smoke. Yeah, of course, guys. One of the biggest things is taking that money that you're saving and taking that time that you're saving by not going out to smoke and putting it into something else. In order for me to have had built this channel to what it is today and create a supplement like this and do my other stuff that I do and spend time with my family, I needed my time back. I needed my energy back. I needed my health back. That's what quitting is all about. It's about the time. It's about the health. It's about the energy. That's what it's all about, guys. And it is a massive waste of time. It's hard to, everything is harder when you're addicted to a drug. Like, understand this. Life is hard. Everything is hard for you when you're addicted to a drug. You're more tired physically. You're more drained psychologically. You're more drained financially. And when you're drained physically, psychologically, and financially, life is harder. So many people talk about sobriety is hard, and it is. There's aspects of it that are hard, especially at first. But Life gets progressively easier when you have the physical health, when you have the mental capacity, and when you have the money in your bank account. Life gets easier. It really does. And that first step is sobriety. 49 days, no weed. Look at this. Yeah, Ben, I agree. Some ex-smokers might never come off of nicotine. This is a big reason why I created this product, Crave Less. Again, why do people like nicotine? We're talking about November here. Nicotine is enjoyed by people because it prevents the breakdown of acetylcholine and it stimulates the noradrenaline pathways. Now, it also gives that big dopamine dump, which makes it addictive. Our product contains KSM 66, which stimulates the noradrenaline pathways, which prevents the breakdown of acetylcholine, which helps with focus. It blunts the stress response, similar to nicotine. And then we put N-acetylcysteine in it to help reduce cravings. Okay. So, like, I just can't even explain how amped up I am about this. And you guys, if anyone on here, if you guys want to support me, the best things you could do, if you need help, keep watching the videos, keep liking them, but really book a one-on-one call, join our No Nick November, purchase our supplement, guys. We got a lot financially riding on this supplement. It's probably like a make or break our company, to be honest. So, like, if you want to support the channel, try it, buy it, book calls, do stuff like that's. Tell your friends. If you don't have the money, tell your friends about our channel. Just spread the word, keep the views coming, keep the ad revenue up. Because without you guys, none of this is possible. Like, I none of this would be possible if we didn't have such an incredible, supportive, helpful community, guys. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for that. So I really appreciate it. I drink alcohol to help me sleep. I'm afraid of sleeping aids. Well, Mr. Orange, alcohol, similarly to weed, prevents deep sleep. It blocks REM sleep. Alcohol is actually one of the worst things for your sleep because when you drink alcohol, alcohol is very extraordinarily taxing on the liver, right? Weed, not so much. Alcohol, extremely taxing on the liver. So what's happening is you're going to bed, you're preventing REM sleep, and now you're punching your liver over and over again with alcohol all night long. So you might fall asleep, but you're not getting a restorative sleep with alcohol. And that's very, very dangerous. So I just want to throw that out there. Yeah, I knew weed was bad for me when I quit and I couldn't enjoy life without it. Lila, look, if someone's life is better with weed and you've really given it your all in sobriety, by all means, smoke weed, right? If someone came to me and said, Dr. Frank, I was suicidal my whole life and I smoked weed and it made me better, by all means, keep smoking. I'd prefer to have you here. I'm all for anything that improves a person's quality of life. My channel, which is focused on addiction to nicotine, alcohol, weed, porn, these things don't improve a quality of life for people in many cases. So that's who I'm here for, right? But it does get better. Listen, Lila, too, you might just be experiencing that stage of anhedonia, which is very normal after you first quit. You quit the drug. Nothing seems enjoyable without the drug, right? Nothing brings you that happiness anymore. And I promise that does eventually start to get better, but it takes time. And for everyone, it's hard to say how much time it's going to take. This is why we call it drug rehab. People hear the term drug rehab and they think of going into a rehabilitation facility. And that's not what that means. Okay. Drug rehab is referencing rehabilitating all the different aspects of your life, similar to someone who breaks a leg. They might have to go to physical therapy or rehab to learn how to walk up and down stairs again, to learn how to run again, to learn how to strengthen the muscles of their leg again. When we're first sober, we're rehabbing our life. We're learning how to drive in the car without nicotine. We're learning how to eat a big meal without hitting nicotine after. We're learning how to get in a fight with our boyfriend, our girlfriend, our spouse, and not get high after the fight, not cope with the fight by drinking alcohol. We're rehabbing the ability to get excited on the holidays, the ability to go out socially and not drink at a bar or at a restaurant. This is what drug rehab is. And this is where so many people get upset and thrown off and they're like, I didn't sign up for this. This is too hard. And I'm like, no, this is exactly what you signed up for. You signed up for rehabilitating your life back into a level that you can enjoy things again. This is drug rehab. Having that proper expectation, guys, when we work with people one-on-one, setting the tone for that, that's a game changer, because now when the times get tough and people are like, oh, I'm rehabbing, it was hard to heal from that broken leg. It took a lot of rehab and exercise. They don't freak out, they don't get paranoid, and they don't fall. So I quit once, I can quit again. What do you think of those excuses? It sounds a lot like the addicted voice. And I think you need to identify that excuse. And I think you need to call BS next time that addicted voice is pumping that excuse to you. I quit once, I can quit again. I think you should look at it as, I've wasted my time once, and I can waste more time again. Why would you ever want to waste your time putting yourself through that? What, why? It's a waste of time, it's a waste of energy. So I would reframe that as, I've wasted my energy before, I can waste it again. I've wasted my mental health before, I can waste it again. I've wasted my time before, I can waste it again. Energy and time are very time you can't get back, and energy is very difficult to get back. um do you remember South Lake, Texas? You have helped me out a lot. Matthew, I don't know. I'm sure if we talked in more detail, I'm sure I would remember. Because I don't work with tons of people. I mean, we work with a lot of people, but not tons every week. I probably would remember if we spoke, especially if we did a one-on-one call at some point. I'd probably remember. Um, 30 days nicotine free, hitting it 20 times in one night, reset the withdrawals. No, it really wouldn't. That would be a lapse. That would not reset the withdrawals. And Matt M, I'm going to throw something crazy at you. People don't expect this from me. Sometimes when people are quitting nicotine, I get some people, and guys, we designed this product, Kick It Crave Less, kickitrevolution.com, to try and help offset some of these issues. But some people become so anxious and so like messed up when they quit. I'll actually say, okay, look, go as long as you can quitting until you hit a breaking point. And then I usually don't have them vape. I usually switch them over to a different form of nicotine. But I'll say, for one night, I want you to consume nicotine. So here you are, you hit that complete breaking point, and you're really freaking out. Like you are incapable of getting through this. No matter what you do, I'll say, have a little bit of nicotine, calm down again. They calm down again for 5, 10, 20 days. They have another freak out. Have a little bit of nicotine and then get rid of it. 5, 10, 20, 30 days this time. We do that like 3 or 4 times, and many times that can actually be enough. It doesn't reset the withdrawals, but for a lot of people, unless we're very careful, it can reset the addiction. And people don't realize that, like, this is what we talk about that in No Nick November. Everyone thinks I'm like this staunch, like, no failure. I'm not. My job is to find what's going to work for a person. And part of my purpose, I think, was to create this. I really do. I have years of supplement experience. I have years of addiction. Right? Like, creating this was like, your average person couldn't just like appear with this. I'm not saying it to boast on myself. I'm saying that, like, I years of thought and experience went into this. So I don't know how I got on that rant. How do you overcome perceived opportunities of smoking, like a party or being with friends on a special occasion, when someone offers you a puff of a different vape or a fancy cigar? Well, Miriam, I would say in that case, if you don't regularly smoke cigars, most people don't, right? Most people don't regularly smoke cigars. They can't. The smell is too strong. The habit's too expensive. It stinks up the house. So in a case like that, I would say, well, if you really want to, stay away from the vape and have a puff of the cigar. Like, I mean, unless you feel that that's going to reset you back into vaping. So I've had numerous people who can transition to having an occasional cigar while getting rid of, vaping completely. So there's that. And 2, opportunities. I mean, you're looking for a good time. And the reality is, if you need a substance to enhance the time that you're having, and look, I don't deny it. There were times I had fun on alcohol. There was times I had fun on weed. There was times in my life where I think my experiences were enhanced by the drug. I can't deny that. I'd be lying to you guys if I said otherwise. I think there comes a point, though, in addiction where it doesn't become an opportunity to have fun. It's like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to just like screw up my whole life again. Is that really what I want to do? So, yeah, you can quit tomorrow. I'm smoking a cigarette right now. I typically recommend starting on a clean slate. So, like, you quit smoking tonight, you quit tomorrow morning. I usually don't recommend quitting like midday, but it's each to their own. So 45 with days without weed, I still smoke hella cigs. Yeah, look, once you're comfortable in your quit with weed, that's then when you're going to look to quit smoking cigarettes, okay? So if you really struggled with weed addiction and it was hard for you and it's been an uphill battle and continues to be, maybe wait until like 90 days, maybe wait until 120 days, maybe wait like half a year and then address the cigarettes. And I'm going to throw it out there. When you do, please check out our product, Crave Less. Kick it, Crave Less. There's so many benefits of N-acetylcysteine and KSM 66 that can support you in your quitting journey. Again, like I put like so much into this, guys. Please check it out if you're quitting. I email you after you buy the product. I give you my phone number on WhatsApp. Like, I'm doing that right now because I want anyone who goes on and buys this. You can find the link in my community post. You can find the link in my video descriptions. It's the Kick It Crave Less gum. Anyone who buys it, I directly reach out to them right now because I want to make sure that they're successful. We want the product to do well, and I want you guys to do well. I really, really do. This whole channel, this whole community is about you guys succeeding, right? I'd be really proud of myself if I could look back and say, hey, we have a free YouTube channel and we've helped more people quit drugs than anything else out there on the market. And guys, we're headed that way. Like, we're headed that direction. And it's because of this community. It's because of the positive comments. It's because of not only the support that you guys have given me over the years with the shares and the comments and the likes. It's the support that you guys have given each other in the free communities and then the comments. This whole thing actually has very little to do with me at the end of the day, right? It's I think I created the community, but it's you guys who continue to grow it and who continue to allow it to flourish. And we're always trying to give back. And the more we make, the more we give back. You know, we had our 100,000 subscriber celebration. We're still going through interviews for like scholarship giveaways. We actually gave away one scholarship to someone. We paid for someone's real estate license studying, and we're going to pay for all their real estate licensing fees if they complete the examination. So like, guys, it's crazy how much we've given back, right? At 100,000 subscribers, I made the Kick It community. It used to be $4.95 a month. I made it completely free, like constantly trying to give back. The more you guys give to us, the more we try and give out. So, okay, let's see here. How much could smoking cannabis from age 12 change brain development? Look, like, I don't know, and I don't care. Like, and I'm gonna say this, unless I'm talking to a group of youth who I'm like trying to get to prevent them from smoking, at this point, like, it doesn't matter. Like, whatever changed. There's no point in getting obsessed with worrying about what changed in my brain or what damage did I do, because all that's gonna do, marijuana, is it's gonna marijuana. Is that what that says? All that's gonna do is it's gonna feed your anxiety. It's gonna feed your fear. And how do you cope with fear and anxiety? You smoke more weed. So like, don't worry about what it's done to your brain. Just understand that quitting is going to be a benefit to your brain, right? And then start to pursue other activities that are beneficial to your brain so you can start that healing process. And then you don't got to worry about the damage. You know what I mean? If I worried about the damage I did to my brain, I don't think I would have attempted doing anything, right? You guys see it in my community post. Those of you who are on my email list, I send out emails with spelling errors. Shoot, sometimes I send out just blank emails. Sometimes my brain is in the clouds, right? I think I broke a certain part of it at one point. But hey, it doesn't stop me. It doesn't limit me. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to work with what I got. And I'm going to improve on what I have, right? And that's what it's all about. So get that out of it. You know what I mean? Don't worry about it. Okay. Weed saved my life when I was at the lowest. Yeah, I understand, guys. If you've followed me for a long enough time, I have talked about how throughout different periods of my life, particularly with my parents' divorce, my college stress, I said weed was a benefit for me at that time. It was easier for me to deal with the consequences of weed than it was for me to face my reality and deal with the consequences of my life. And it made life more tolerable at that point for me. But then there came a point where the addiction and the reality that weed created started to become intolerable. And that's when the shift to quitting began. That's when the acknowledgement of, hey, something that once helped is now a harm. And that happens, guys. Like, that happens to lots of things. Look at relationships. You could have a relationship that started off beautiful, the most magnificent marriage ever, and then it went to crap over the years, right? Some things start off good and they end poorly. This is life. Yeah, Abbas Elise, listen, again, I gotta be careful with what I say, but in my opinion, right, the longer we consume nicotine in a gum and a patch and a vape, the longer we're keeping those nicotine receptors alive. And me personally, I want it to be done with nicotine. And here's my thing: there's no alternatives out there to nicotine replacement therapy products. So we are not a nicotine replacement therapy product. As per the FDA, we are not a supplement that treats addiction or helps with withdrawals. But I do have a supplement that contains KSM-66, which is clinically proven to reduce stress and anxiety, which acts on the brain very similarly to how nicotine does in preventing the breakdown of acetylcholine and stimulating norepinephrine. And I have N-acetylcysteine in it, which preliminary research shows it reduces cravings. Now, call me nuts, but if I was quitting a substance, I think this would sound pretty good. But again, we don't treat addiction. We don't treat withdrawals. We're just a supplement. Always talk to your doctor, okay? And it's a gum. To make it even better, it's a gum, right? I want to revolutionize the way people approach quitting. I want to revolutionize the things that are available to people. And I really think we're going to do it. I really do. We're off to a very slow start, but I really think we're going to do it. Why did 50 milligram nicotine get banned? Because that's insane. You got people overdosing on nicotine. And I'm not saying like overdosing in like a traditional drug overdose. I'm saying like you have people who are getting sick constantly all day long, poisoning their nervous system, poisoning their brain functioning, poisoning their blood, poisoning their lymphatic tissue. People feel it when they consume too much nicotine. You feel awful. Like, it's a horrible feeling. That's why. Ben Newman, I started with Camel cigarettes, and then it was, Marbs. It was Marbs after that. If not, why didn't I want Super Kings? I don't know. It just, at the time I started smoking, I had a girlfriend that smoked Camels, and then and all my friends smoked Marbs. That was like the popular one here in New York. I wake up numb to the point it can hurt. I think it's a blood pressure, but I'm not sure. Yeah, the numb, guys, when I was in my peak of bad stuff happening to my body, they were testing me for MS because I had so much numbness and so much neuropathy in my hands and feet, my legs. I had points where patches of my stomach was going numb, and I had to get 4 nerve conduction studies. I had them on my arms and my legs because they were testing me for all these weird neurological diseases. It was just a combination: weed, nicotine, binge drinking, staying up late, tons of pre-workout product, tons of beta alanine, tons of caffeine, tons of, I took Jacked 3D, which had the dimethyl alanine in it or whatever it was, DMAA, right? My nervous system was fried. It was fried. And a lot of people, here's the sad thing: a lot of you guys are going to go through addiction, and you're going to be going from doctor to doctor to doctor, and they're going to keep telling you it's normal. This is a little off. We can't find anything. And you're just going to keep taking the drug, copay after copay after copay, prescription after prescription after prescription, because we never addressed the root cause of the problem, which was substance use. I made that mistake, and I'm trying to save you guys that time. I'm trying to save you guys that money. I'm trying to save you from making that mistake. I was in complete denial as far as what I was going through. Complete denial. I can't exercise or run when I quit weed. So, Adele, is that because you're going through the quitter's flu when you first quit? Or, guys, this means so much, guys. There's people going on and ordering the gum right now, and you're all going to get a message from me. It's kickitrevolution.com. I'm going to personally reach out. If you're not happy with the supplement, I promise you a refund. I promise you guys are going to get, and I'm not even like, you guys don't understand how exciting it is for me when people get this stuff. I want you to succeed. So like, I know what I'm going to do, like down the line, when people buy this stuff, I'm just going to start releasing everything. Like the quitting weed 2023 program, the No Nick November program, the Weed Free and Me program, the Sober October program. I'm going to hit you guys with all the private stuff I ever had because I want you to do well. Because if you do well, the product does well. And if the product does well, the company does well. If the company does well, we have more money to help more people. And then we got more stuff like this. It's beautiful. So I appreciate it, guys. It really means like so much. Okay, now let me go back to this. Can you not exercise though because you're going through withdrawal? Or can you not exercise because weed was helping you in some way, shape, or form? Because if weed was helping you exercise, maybe you had some autoimmune thing. I don't know. I don't know you. Maybe what we need to look into is a quality CBD supplement, a quality anti-inflammatory based supplement, because maybe there was some benefit from cannabis that you were getting from exercise. Maybe it's just you're going through withdrawal and you can't exercise because you're going through withdrawal. I don't know. Okay, really craving today at 12 days nicotine free because you're at the 2-week mark. That is when your body detoxes cotinine. So up until this point, you have had the byproducts of nicotine flowing through your system. You are now hitting that crucial point where you're almost like completely free of this stuff. So this is that addiction saying, hey, come back to me, come back, please. So it's kicking your butt. It kicks your butt. It's at days, weeks 2 to 3, where psychologically it's like this warfare. And this is why we made this, guys. This is why we put 100 milligrams of N-acetylcysteine. And people think I'm bluffing. No, we spent mega money on getting third-party testing on every batch we make. So if you go on kickitrevolution.com, and you're going to see it looks like it only has to do with cigarettes. It has to do with vaping, cigarettes, weed, anything that deals with cravings. We have all of the third-party testing results published on there right in our COAs at the bottom of the page. So we show you exactly what's in here, and we show you that it tested negative for all the other stuff that you don't even see on other supplements: salmonella, bacteria, yeast, mold, fungus. We run all that testing on here to prove it to you guys. And the KSM 66 we use, it's the patented form of KSM 66 straight from India. You can only get it from one company in India if you're getting the real thing. We got the real deal. We even have third-party testing through that company on the individual ingredients in here, not messing around when we made this product. Yeah, we can ship all around the world. We can ship to Brazil. If shipping costs are too exorbitant for you, when you go to my links, look for my WhatsApp number. You can see my WhatsApp number. Send me a WhatsApp message and we'll try and help you out on shipping if you're all the way around the world. Okay, let's go back to this. So 14 days nicotine free. Get through that 2-week hump like I was just talking about. Guys, timelines for nicotine: 3 to 5 days. Then you got to hit 2 weeks. Then you got to hit 30 days. Then you got to hit 90 days. Somewhere between 90 and 120 days. Most people are usually free. Yes, very normal for blood pressure to raise after quitting weed or nicotine. Let's talk about that a little bit. So this is a withdrawal symptom that some people may experience. It could be from anxiety. It could be from, because weed, your heart, has a ton of cannabinoid, endocannabinoid receptors on it. And cannabinoids, endocannabinoids, what your body makes naturally, plays a role in cardiac function, okay? Now you quit weed, you were smoking a lot, your body's not making its own endocannabinoids all of a sudden, right? It's dropping down. Endocannabinoid production is dropping down. And now that cardiac system is dysregulated. This can result in irregular heartbeats. It can result in arrhythmias. It can result in blood pressure dysregulation. This is not an excuse to go back to smoking weed if your goal was to quit. But what you could do is you could go speak to a cardiologist or your doctor, and they might bridge you with something like a beta blocker to get you through that stage of withdrawal. You might need a little bit of a medication-assisted quit. And I'm not talking about getting on a benzo or something dumb like that. I'm talking about taking a blood pressure medication for a brief period of time under the supervision of your physician, right? Talking to them about this and having that help you along the way if you're getting these heart rate irregularities and stuff like that. Because what happens is when the blood pressure spikes or the heartbeat flutters, that can trigger anxiety and panic attacks, which can bring you back into weed addiction. So I'm really glad you brought that up. 30 days weed free, 3 months nicotine free, still addicted to benzos. Keep going. Yeah, benzos, you can't do cold turkey. You got to taper them. Heavy amounts of alcohol, you got to taper them. Okay. There's people out there who do benzo stuff. I don't do a lot with benzos. I could still help with the mindset. But when it comes to the actual plan for coming off of benzos, we would put you in touch with other people on our team that specialize in prescription drug abuse. We have those people on our team. Are there alternatives to the supplement? Okay, thank you for asking. Absolutely. You can go on Amazon, you can go on vitaminshop.com, and you can buy KSM66, and you can buy N-acetylcysteine in capsule form, and you can buy a larger quantity for cheaper than our supplement. Now, here's the difference, though. There is no gum alternative. We are the only people in the world with this. We have a patent pending. We have a trademark pending. We won't get the patent. It's very unlikely. It's very hard to patent. Almost impossible to patent a supplement. Almost impossible. But ironically enough, we have one of the patent attorneys who was involved, not on, but involved with patenting nicotine and Nicorette, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, long story short, you can't find this anywhere else in the world, not in gum form, but you can absolutely find it in capsule form on Amazon or Vitamin Shop. And if you can't afford our stuff, by all means, go there and get it. But just know the absorption with gum, it's quicker, it's faster acting. And gum also satisfies that oral fixation as well, too. So we're satisfying that oral fixation, which in turn is also going to promote that temporary reduction in cravings when it comes to social situations, when it comes to after having a big meal, when it comes to situations where maybe we're getting anxious about something. We got the KSM in there counteracting that. Like, I can't tell you guys how hyped I am about this product. I can't tell you, but we are going to talk more about it in our quitting No Nicotine November program, which again, you can attend the first session for free, but the other 3 sessions will require purchase of this product afterwards to keep going in that. Okay. Now, all right, let's see what else we got here. Let's see what other comments. 30 days Adderall free. Adderall's tough, guys. They're tough, but it's doable. It's tough, but it's doable. I've quit Zans before. If I can, you can. Mr. Sushi, thank you for that. I think one of the most incredible things about this community is the realization that other people have done it. Someone said earlier in the comments, so we're all living the same lives. And the answer is yes. In addiction, we're all living very similar lives. And what happens in addiction is we get into this mentality of thinking, I'm the only one going through this. I'm the only one struggling with this. No one else has it like I have it. And you're going to talk to other people and you're going to realize join our free Kick It support community. Do that. Get in there. Offer your advice to other people. Get advice from other people. If you did something that worked for you and it's different from what I did, I want you to share that in my community. I want you to talk to people about that. Heck, if you had a bad experience with KSM 66 or NAC, I want you to share that with people. You know why? Because someone else might have a bad experience. And I don't want them to think that they're broken or that they're alone or that was their only option, because it's not. If you guys have knowledge, get in our free Kick It support community and share that knowledge with other people. It feels good to help people. It's a dopamine release. That's why so many people in recovery from quitting are so into recovery. You get a rush from being able to help others. It's a beautiful thing. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's an act of service for us because we are a for-profit company, but it's a great feeling. I can say that much, right? I do other things that are service-based though, for sure. Yeah, reading the comments fills your heart. That's one of the best things. You see something else when you're in the communities too, though. You see people who are successful and you see people who are struggling. And that in and of itself, sadly, can be a deterrent for relapse. So you're thinking about going back to drinking alcohol or smoking weed, and then you read the comments of someone who did that, and you see that didn't work out how they thought it was going to work out. It worked out poorly for them. And you suddenly say to yourself, well, maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe I'm going to stay away from that. I did not know that Pez candies were for smoking cessation. That is fascinating to me. And I'm going to make a note of that because we may want to get into something like that. Okay, for smoking, we might want to revive that. This is interesting. But of course, a nicotine free version, you guys might see a Pez style candy product from me in the future. Thank you for that, Manny. That's really interesting. Um, Bro, stop pitching. Guys, this is the purpose of tonight's conversation was for No Nicotine November and to talk about the supplement. But we wound up giving away hours of other conversation, hours of it. Why can't vaping be mostly just water like they said it was? The reason is because you need other things to stabilize. First, you need other things to stabilize it. Secondly, you need other components to turn it into vapor. And third, when you turn something into like you need flavorings, you need stuff like that. I'm not aware of an all water vape, and I don't know that anyone would make that because the profitability isn't there. People would use it once or twice and be like, "Oh, I'm done with this. This is junk." And you wouldn't be able to charge a lot of money for it. So, Ben, there's no profit in making a water vape. Remember, Ben, when it comes to addiction, they are trying to maximize their profits off of you over the long run. That's the goal. Okay. So making a water vape, that's a failing company. Like it's gonna fail. They might make a lot of money real quick up front, but long term, there's no long-term thing. So don't be so hard on yourselves. Be proud of your accomplishments. That's absolutely right. You have to celebrate the little wins along the way. You have to celebrate them. My sleep has been great since quitting weed. That's because you're getting REM sleep. I have way more cash now without weed. Look at all these positive things. Look at all these. Yeah, cigars are, you're correct, Mr. Sushi. Cigars are equal, if not greater, than a pack of cigarettes in the nicotine content and other. Here's the catch, though. Most people aren't smoking a cigar every day, okay? People will smoke a pack of cigarettes every day, but then you have people who will smoke one cigar a week and be satisfied. So as I said, cigars are not healthy. I would never promote smoking cigars. But would I promote smoking a cigar as a form of harm reduction once a week compared to smoking one pack of cigarettes a day? Absolutely. Absolutely, I would. I've promoted even dip or snus products as a form of harm reduction to smoking. Right? If I get someone off of smoking cigarettes and they refuse to quit tobacco, I would much rather see them on something like that than I would cigarettes. These are things that shock people when I say it. Now, our goal with people is to get them 100% off nicotine because at the end of the day, whether it's a cigar or a dip product or a snus, we still have the addiction. And we're all about breaking the addiction and rewiring the addiction, not trading it. But if harm reduction is the best I can do with a person, by all means, I'm going to do harm reduction with that person. So just keep that in mind, okay? Yeah, Ben, you're good, man. Ben, you've been around for a long time. Would inhaling a cigar do that much harm? No, guys, Ben Newman has been with us from day one on here. And you know, despite some of his questions may seem odd to you guys, I don't know. Ben's a great guy. He honestly supported me on this channel since like I think less than 100 subscribers. So like Ben's questions will always get answered no matter how relevant or irrelevant they may be to other people. He's Ben, like you've meant a lot to the channel, man. I've never talked to you. You've never really tuned in on our lives, but you've literally supported this channel since day one. So I appreciate that, man. I really do. Okay, let's see here. I want a sober life, even if it has bad moments. And there should be bad moments because that's what life is about. That's right. You can't enjoy the bad unless you can't enjoy the good unless you experience the bad. And that's the problem with drugs. We don't get to pick and choose the things that we do and don't experience. I had to lower the bar, says Be Positive. Someone said tiny steps, 1%. That's our goal. If you can do 1% better than you did the other day, hey, that's a win. Really, it really is. And you got to celebrate those little wins. Okay, let's see here. Yep. All right, guys. I'm going to have to take off because we went through a lot of stuff. Let's see here. I'm seeing if there's anything else in here. Like, wow, there are so many comments. There are so many positive comments. How long did I smoke weed for? I think I started weed around the age of 21 or 22, and then I quit around the age of 27, 28. I'm not sure. No nicotine vapes. There's a great question. So I'm not a big fan, and I'll tell you why. No nicotine vapes, you're not giving your lungs a chance to detox and heal. And although you're getting away from nicotine, you're still getting a lot of the toxic byproducts from turning those chemicals into vapor. So what happens is people do no nicotine vapes, they don't give their lungs a chance to detox, and they feel like crap. And then they say, "Well, I quit and I still feel like crap." And then they go back to vaping. So that's why. Um, is it a good idea to change a vape for nicotine pouches? So we're going to have a detailed conversation about this in our No Nicotine November event. And I don't really want to talk about that on here because it's such a complex conversation. I'll say this, it's a form of harm reduction. But nicotine pouches, let's take like Zyn. I, I got people calling me with major issues, particularly anxiety, teeth grinding, like weird stomach and skin weird skin rashes, weird stomach problems. I have more people calling me trying to quit Zyn than I do by far regular chewing tobacco. And I have more people calling me with more side effects from products like Zyn than I do regular chewing tobacco products. So this is going to be a long conversation in No Nicotine November. So check that out. But I might do I'll do another free live, obviously, if we have to talk about that. I'd be happy to talk about harm reduction when it comes to nicotine and tobacco use. I'd be happy to do a full live on that for sure. Okay. How long did you smoke weed for? I answered that for a while. Yeah, Mike. I've asked you a few times, Mike, in the comments. You've quit for 2 years, which is crazy. And Mike, I only have one question for you. Why didn't you go back, Mike? If you quit for 2 years and nothing's helped and life is worse, why stay sober? Why did you stay sober for 2 years? That's all. That's my only question. And it's not in a judgmental way. I don't understand. If I had quit and my life had not gotten better, I would have went back. And I'm not telling you to go back, but I would have. So I'm confused, Mike. I'm confused by that. Did I heal? Ben is never bored. Yes, the answer is yes. I've healed a lot, but I still have ongoing problems, right? I don't have osteoporosis, but I still have osteopenia. I still get what I call flare ups from time to time. Okay. But I don't know if that's stress or lack of sleep or what it is. But like, I don't know. I'm not perfect, but I'm like, I can do anything I want. Like, I'm not limited in any mental or physical capacity anymore. Whereas back in the day, like, I was very sick. Like, I was very, very sick. I don't think I realized how sick I was between like CHS, psychosis, these neurological problems I was experiencing. I was very sick, but I'm significantly better to a point where I would say like I'm healed, you know? Still sober from weed and cigarettes. Nick versus the universe. Awesome. Okay, guys. This was really good. We went about 2 hours here, and there's tons of comments. People are, I don't understand myself, and I'm confused on to why that is. I'm asking. Mike, you've been with us for a long time. And Mike, I remember when you quit. It was on one of my lives. And Mike, I think what we should do, if you're comfortable with it, is I will reach out to you. And I think me and you should do another live again and have a detailed conversation about it and try and see if we can figure it out, Mike. That's a fair statement. That's an honest answer. You don't understand why you haven't either. Maybe we could figure that out together. Maybe not. But Mike, I'd be happy to do another live with you in a group setting if you're open to it, just like we did that first time you actually quit 2 years ago. Because I don't know either, and I'd like to figure it out. Okay. I'm unsure about how someone could get addicted to adult media content and become an actual addiction. Well, adult media content should be a whole nother call. Adult media content is an insanely powerful addiction because of the dopamine release we get from orgasm, right? So, adult media content also, when it comes to building a tolerance, when it comes to needing more and more extreme content and that tolerance building to get off, adult media content is the definition of addiction. And when we look at the negative consequences of quitting, withdrawal symptoms, insomnia, social anxiety, flu-like symptoms, intense muscle and body pain. I mean, the physical withdrawal symptoms of adult media content are very intense. And arguably, it's one of the most accessible addictions, which I think makes it one of the most dangerous. It's responsible for, I believe, now over 50% of divorce cases. So it has very real life consequences. And then now, with platforms like OnlyFans and things like this, we have people spending their entire savings on a chat with a guy or a girl just because they think they have some connection with that person. It's actually a very, very sad addiction. Yeah, Mike, I look forward to talking to you. Okay. It will probably be at like in December, just because we have so much going on in November, Mike. But I'm gonna touch base with you before the new year and we'll get a live scheduled and we'll talk that through because you've been here forever. Ben is never bored. Yes, we have international shipping with the exception of 1 or 2 countries. Okay. And again, if the cost of shipping is too outrageous for you, if you look at the links in my profile, in my community post, you're going to see a WhatsApp number. Hit me up on WhatsApp, send me an email, contact me, and we'll see if we can help you out a little bit on shipping it. Now, we have free shipping within the US, free shipping within the US. Okay. But internationally, it is expensive to ship internationally. There's no way around it. But we have an excellent shipping courier and all that stuff. Like, we did grade A stuff, guys. Again, if you guys need anything, questions about the supplement, email me, hit me on WhatsApp. My number is in my links, linked to all my videos. Please, if you want to support the channel, share this with your friends. Keep watching videos only if you need to. Join our free support community and start telling other people what worked for you, because we're happy to hear it, because what I say doesn't work for everyone. And by all means, if you got the means and you feel this would help you, please, like, book the coaching calls, purchase the supplements. I promise, of course, we make some money, but that money is not going to waste. All right, guys, I really appreciate it. This community is what makes this possible. And you guys can see the energy that I get from you guys. It comes in the comments. It comes from seeing you guys support each other and from seeing you guys help each other. This is literally what this is all about. So thank you for everything. Even if you don't do coaching and you can't buy this stuff, it's just you taking the time to be here and spread this message. It means equally as much. It really does. So I appreciate that, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye now. We'll do this again soon.